Hi, Bernice.
Hello.
Hi, Bernice.
How's
Hello.
everyone?
Okay.
Good.
Okay, we ready to begin?
Yes.
Good. Good evening. This is a regular meeting of the Princeton Zoning Board of Adjustment being held electronically via Zoom on June 24th, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. Adequate notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given by prominently posting notice of this meeting on the official bulletin board at the municipal complex, by filing a copy with the clerk of Princeton on June 18th, 2026, and by posting a copy on the municipal website homepage as a public notice, princetonnj.gov/1527-public notices. Claudia, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Chen,
Here.
Ms. Coulson, here. Mr. Floyd,
Here.
Mr. Shriver,
Here.
Mr. Tannenbaum, Mr. Stein,
Here.
Ms. Donna,
Yes.
Claudia, you
Chairman
forgot
Cohen.
me. Here.
Thank you. Sorry.
Claudia, I think,
Yeah.
did you get Eve tonight? You did great. Thank you.
Okay, we have three resolutions this evening, which were all in your packets, board members. The first is case number Z 22-295, 13 Prospect, block 49.01, lot 2.01 in the E2B zone. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the resolution? And if not, if someone would like to make a motion.
I move approval.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Claudia, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Chen,
Yes.
Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Shriver,
Yes.
Mr. Stein,
Yes.
Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ours. Okay, thank you. Our second resolution is case number Z 26-738, 288 Cherry Hill Road, block 3901, lot 11.01 in the RAT zone. Once again, questions, comments, or motions?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Claudia, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Chen,
Yes.
Mr. Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Shriver,
Yes.
Mr. Stein,
Yes.
Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Our third resolution is case number Z 25-702, 1128 Great Road, block 301, lot 401 in the RA and RB zone. Questions, comments, or motions, please?
I congratulate those who wrote this up for getting such a complete summary.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve. Or was that your way of moving to approve, Mr. Schreiber?
No,
I'll second.
I wouldn't get in your way, Eve.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Ms. Chen,
Yes.
Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Shriver,
Yes.
Mr. Stein,
Yes.
Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have 4 applications this evening. The first one is 25 Henderson Avenue, It's case number Z25-654, block 6801, lot 11 in the R2T zone. Karen, are the notices in order for this one?
Well, remember, yes, this has been carried a number of times, so yes, the notices are in order. But the applicant's attorney has advised that the applicants would like to carry this application. I believe their attorney is here this evening. I'm looking through. Let's just see. Claudia, I'm not sure if he's here or not. But my understanding is the litigation that's ongoing regarding the access for 25 Henderson, as well as other properties on the street, is, I guess, nearing a point where it's anticipated there would be a ruling by the court. So it seems to make sense from the applicant's point of view to see if the application could be carried to the next meeting, which is July 22nd. I see Mr. Tadaro now. Did I explain that correctly, Mr. Tadaro?
Yes, hi, good evening, Chair, members of the board. Anthony Tadaro, law firm Fagery, Jinker, Biddle, and Reith. My firm represents the applicants. I was being admitted as a panelist, so I'm not sure I caught everything. However, yes, towards the end, there's a chance that the court renders a decision. We're not sure if it'll come out in time, or even if it does, the judge's decision actually impacts anything that we've already submitted. However, we at least want to at least carve out that opportunity, make that request to carry it to July. If there is something that we need to address based off the court's decision, it'd be better than starting, then stopping, amending our presentation, and then coming back to the board.
Yeah.
And so we would just ask that the board grant the adjournment to the July meeting without any further notice by the applicant. And I believe the decision deadline does not run until the end of August. However, your attorney can certainly reach out to me and we'll gladly provide our consent to an extension.
I do have a question of our zoning officer. Taylor, what do we have in July? How many-
We
how
have-
many ca-
We have one case scheduled, which was carried from a previous meeting, and that's 164 Prospect.
So the 22nd of July would be fine. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, our next application is case number Z25-676, 105 Mountain Avenue, block 6804, lot 19 and 20 in the R2T zone. And just a question, does this Mountain Avenue 105 and 105 borders on Henderson as well? Does this ongoing litigation affect that one?
Well, Steve, it affects it to the extent that 105 Mountain Avenue has its access. It's the very last house on the street. It faces Mountain Avenue, but it has its access on Henderson Avenue. The staff had suggested in their review memo that were the board to approve this application, a condition of the approval would be that the applicant would need to provide a written, valid access easement for review and approval of staff, And the applicant is aware of that condition, my understanding is, and she will explain herself, that's acceptable to her. And my understanding is they would like to move ahead if they can tonight, since the application's been carried a couple of times. So
Okay.
I guess you could argue that yes, they are tied up in this access issue, but their situation's a little bit different in that they are the very last house and they are fronting on Mountain Avenue.
Okay, that's fine. Let's proceed. I guess we must have taken jurisdiction several
Yes,
months
it's been
ago.
carried now a couple of times. So yes, the noticing was in order and we carried it, and the board has jurisdiction to proceed tonight.
And Miss Casey, if I may, can I
Yeah.
just, before I log off, can I just confirm that we made the announcement that the prior
Oh,
application was
yes, and
carried?
I'm sorry, just for the benefit of anybody who is watching, the 25 Henderson Avenue application has been carried to July 22nd agenda. The applicant will not be obligated to provide any further noticing. But you will, for those who are interested, it will appear then on the July 22nd agenda, and that will be posted on the municipal website.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Sorry about
Yep.
that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank-
Okay, who is going to represent the Mountain Avenue application?
Good evening, board members. My name is Lynn, and this is my husband Walker. We are as owners and the applicants representing ourselves.
Please proceed.
Right, ma'am, we're just gonna
Also on
swear.
the sorry.
Well, I'm sorry, Ms. Gu, I'm sorry. What I was gonna say is I'd like to swear you and your husband in now. You would both swear or affirm that your testimony this evening will be truthful.
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
I also wanted to mention that we will have our engineer and architect join us as well. I believe they should be on the Zoom call as well.
Are we hearing from the zoning officer anymore?
We probably
Yeah.
should have a recap of the case.
I
Yes.
think so.
Yeah, I was
yep.
gonna summarize my memo, yeah. I
Thank-
just wasn't
Taylor?
sure if you had questions to ask of the applicants or not.
No.
Taylor,
Okay.
let me just swear you in for the evening. Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
I do.
Thank you. Would the board like Taylor to go through the memo one
Yes,
more
please.
time?
Yes.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Tonight you will hear testimony on 105 Mountain Avenue, block 6804, lots 19 and 20 in the R2T zone. Owner and applicants are Walker Risto and Lynn Gu. The applicants are requesting a C1 and C2 variance as well as a D4 FAR variance for an addition to an existing dwelling located on the corner of Mountain Ave and Henderson. The applicants are proposing a single floor addition to an existing dwelling. The addition is to accommodate the applicant's current family and to allow for their extended family to age in place and a more accessible living space. The property is not located within a locally designated historic district. Again, the subject property is located in the R2T zoning district and is subject to the use and bulk regulations in accordance to T10B 264, 253, 255, and 255.1 of the former Princeton Township Land Use Ordinance. The subject property is not compliant with respect to the following bulk requirements. The lot area, where the requirement is 65,340 square feet. The existing is 10,720 square feet. The lot width at the building line, where 175 feet is required, 46.71 feet is existing. The lot frontage, where 175 feet is required, there's 47.03 feet to Mountain Avenue existing. The building's front setback, where 25 feet is required, 8.61 feet to Henderson Ave, is existing. The building's side setback, where 15 feet is required, 2.92 feet towards lot 21 is existing. And the parking setback, where the parking requirement is 25 feet, 5.75 feet is existing. The project will require the following C variance relief. The building setback to the front, again, where 25 is required, 11.3 feet is proposed to the rear porch, 13.5 feet is proposed to the middle of the addition, and 18.6 feet is proposed to the covered porch. The height to setback ratio for those same setbacks are as follows, where 1 to 1.5 is required. There's 1 to 1.31 to the front roof, 1 to 1.28 to the mid roof, and 1 to 1.05 to the rear roof. Again, building setbacks to the side of lot 21, where 15 feet is required. There's 3.8 feet to the proposed patio, and then 12.5 feet to the proposed addition. And again, those height to setback ratios for the side lot line along lot 21, where 1 to 1.5 is required, 1.084 is proposed for the front roof, 1 to 1.46 is proposed to the mid roof, and 1 to 1.23 is proposed to that rear roof. And then the parking setback, where 25 feet is required. We mentioned the existing is 5.75, and the proposed is 0.6 feet from Henderson Avenue. The project will also require a D4 variance for the floor area ratio. The requirement is 23%. The existing is 19.3, and the proposed is 31.36%. The subject property is located on a private road, which we've mentioned. If the board is inclined to act favorably on this application, a condition should be imposed that requires a legally valid easement agreement be submitted to the zoning office prior to the issuance of a zoning permit. And condition 2, additionally, because this application consists of lots 19 and 20, we suggest that both the lots be consolidated into one deed. If the board has any questions, feel free to ask. I'd be happy to answer.
Board members, any questions of Ms. Scriven? Oh, good job. Okay. You may start your presentation.
Thank you. I want to ask, I believe our architect and engineer also on the call. Is this a good time to bring them into the
Over.
meeting?
So that's Ms. Mueller and
Miller and Steve DeRocci.
DeRocci. Okay, Claudia, I see them in attendees.
Meanwhile, I'm going to share my screen and
Can they share, raise their hand so I can see who it is?
can I proceed now?
Pam, would you like this to be an exhibit? Shall we make this exhibit A1?
Yes, please.
Great.
Thank you.
Yep. And do you want to wait for them to be brought over or do you want to begin?
I can go ahead and start.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
thank you. So I believe I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully everybody can see the slides. Again, my name is Ling Gu, and sitting next to me, my husband Walker Ristal. We are owners and applicants in this case, representing ourselves for the meeting. Later on, our engineer Catherine Miller and architect Steve Durachi will also provide testimonial. As Ms. Griffin earlier mentioned, the board is inclined to act in favorable on this application, a condition needs to be imposed, and we acknowledge and accept this condition. So if the board grants approval, we understand that no building permit will be issued until a legally valid easement agreement has been submitted to the zoning office. Over my presentation, I will explain that we have had this easement since we purchased the house. The previous owner have had this easement, so we just needed to have this legally documented. This is what is being currently required as a condition. Okay, let me orient the audience to the location and the lot conditions. As mentioned earlier, this is a non-conforming lot with 19 and 20 combined at the corner of Mountain and Henderson. The existing house constructed more than 100 years ago predates the current zoning regulations. Therefore, there are several pre-existing nonconformities. Most notably, the lot space, which is about 10,000 square feet, is severely undersized for the R2 zone. It's only 16% of the required 65,000 square feet. The lot also has an exceptionally narrow shape, only 46 feet in width in comparison to 175 required. The existing living space is about 2,000 square feet, currently housing a family of 4. This relatively modest living space does not provide the privacy and the comfort needed to accommodate family members during extended stays. In addition, the elevation of the existing house, which is about 4 feet above ground, prohibits people with limited mobility from accessing this house safely. We know that one of our parents, Walker's dad, is disabled. With our intention to host aging parents for extended stays and to ensure their safety and well-being, we propose building a single-floor addition at near ground level with age-inclusive designs. Given the access challenges and the pre-existing nonconformities, we're requesting C variances related to building setback, height setback ratio, and a parking setback, and a D4 variance for an increased FAR. Building this addition is a solution I want to mention was informed by discussion with family members, with our neighbors, professionals on the team, and most importantly, by input from the Princeton Zoning Office. So thank you very much in advance. Next, I want to show a few site photos of the existing dwelling. We purchased this house in 2016. Since the purchase, we have made significant improvements, while being also mindful of maintaining the original character of the house. This is a front view of the house from Mountain Avenue, featuring an open porch. Our proposed addition, as I will explain later, is designed to continue this architectural characteristics of the existing house. And this is a side view of the house from Henderson Avenue, showing the existing landscape along our entire property line, which will remain and will not be altered due to the proposed addition. This is another side view showing the existing parking area, which will largely remain unchanged. The width of the driveway and road will stay the same. The parking setback, however, will be slightly affected to allow for building a ground level house entry. We now have 2 kids. We love this house in the neighborhood. Over the years, friendship grows with the neighbors. When our parents visit, they also become friends with our parents, with our neighbors. However, at the same time, we face several challenges, especially those related to aging and the mobility needs. There is currently a long uncovered walkway from the parking area to the nearest house entrance. In addition, entering the house requires climbing 5 exterior steps, as the main level sits approximately 4 feet above ground. As we prepare for the next stage of our family life, welcoming our parents for extended stays and supporting their aging-related needs, we need a practical solution to address those challenges. And we believe that the proposed addition will provide the essential and age-inclusive living space to accommodate the needs of growing family. As shown on the site plan on this slide, the area in the orange outline represents the existing 2-story dwelling, while the area in the black outline shows the proposed addition. So you can see the proposed 1-story addition is located behind the existing 2-story dwelling, with little or no visual impact from Mountain Avenue. It is also proposed near the center of the yard, with the intention to minimize impacts of neighbors on both sides. There will be a bioretention basin currently highlighted in green, but our engineer will elaborate more later in her testimonial. The basin will be built to accommodate drainage issues. And I wanted to highlight that the entire building will remain as an owner-residing single-family home. This is the view shows the east elevation of the proposed addition, with existing house in the orange outline and the proposed addition in the blue outline. Because this addition is designed as a single floor, near ground level structure, as you can see, it sits much, much lower visually. The cathedral ceiling, however, is designed to enhance the appearance of the addition from the street view. Our architect, Dr. Steve DeRocci, will provide more details later on in his testimonial. Existing landscape, as I showed earlier in one of the site photos along Henderson, will stay and will help screen the view and help protect neighbors' privacy. We do understand the proposed addition will have an impact on our neighbors on Henderson. On the right, bottom right corner, I showed a site plan showing that our addition facing lot 13, lot 14, and the lot 15, especially lot 14, as the house belonging to lot 14 sits directly across the proposed addition. So during our planning, we discussed our plan with our neighbors on Henderson and received support from a lot of them, including owner of lot 14. Here, I would like to again highlight several age-focused design elements. Our addition will include a corridor, highlighted in red, about 300 square feet, connecting the addition to the main house. This corridor is designed to preserve our existing driveway. It also houses a landing and the stairs to allow the rest of the addition to be built at a near ground level for improved safety. As you can see highlighted in yellow, existing parking to largely remain, except that the depth setback will be slightly reduced Making room for a covered porch that enhances the visual appeal, remains consistent with the current house design, and provides more convenient and a more convenient entrance to the house. Highlighted in blue is an existing deck that will be removed. Generally speaking, the new design will provide improved access to the house by locating the entrance close to parking and at near ground level. In addition to the corridor I just highlighted earlier, which is highlighted in red here, the addition will also include a family room in green outline, about 300 square feet, and a bedroom suite in blue outline, including a bedroom, a laundry room, and a bathroom, about 400 square feet in total. There are 2 open porches highlighted in purple outline. To continue the characters of the existing house, one also serves as a covered walkway connecting the parking to the addition. Well, these spaces are essential for ensuring the long-term success of multi-generational living by allowing individual privacy and a personal space within the house. The single floor design, again, is necessitated by our need to host aging parents with limited mobility. The proposed combined floor area of the existing dwelling and the addition will be about 3,300 square feet. Can still be considered a modest, medium-sized home in Princeton. There will be no addition driveway, as we will continue to use the existing 2-car parking space, aiming to minimize the impact on parking and traffic on Henderson. As elaborated above, all living space, including in the addition, are critically needed for ensuring the safety and the well-being of senior family members during their extended stays. Our property space is severely undersized for R2 zone. The permitted FAR for the property is 23%. Under this restriction, we are only permitted to build up to 400 square feet of new living space, which, as we have demonstrated, is not nearly enough for the intended long-term use of the addition. Therefore, we would argue that the strict application of the zoning ordinance would create undue hardship and deprive the owners of a reasonable use of the property, which is to host and care for senior family members. Granting requested variance will provide much needed relief with this undersized lot. This is also the only financially viable option for us, living in high-cost areas like Princeton, as we cannot afford to purchase additional properties in this town. This is the end of my opening statement. Here, I'm going to give the floor to our engineer, Kathy Miller, and she will continue the presentation. And for now, I will stop sharing my screen because Kathy is going to share from her screen.
Ms. Mueller, we need to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful? I can't hear you. Are you muted or? Am I the only one or can anybody hear Ms. Mueller? No. Okay.
Cannot hear.
No.
Kathy, maybe sometime leave and come back in might help. And meanwhile, Steve, would you mind go ahead and talk about your slides? Steve, you're on mute.
Okay, hold on though. Where's Mr. DeRochi? Tell you what, do you think that we could stop screen sharing for a moment? I just want to be able to swear in Mr. DeRochi, and you need to unmute.
Steve, on the lower left corner, there is a microphone icon. If you can unmute yourself from there.
There we go.
Okay.
Now, Mr. DeRochi, do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
I do.
Thank you. And if you would just advise the board of your license and credentials, please.
Well, I'm 85 years old, so I've been at this for a long time.
Okay.
I'm a graduate of Princeton University, both as an undergraduate degree in architecture and an MFA in architecture back in 1965. I had a long commercial career, if you will, primarily with the Hillier Group as one of their leading design principals. And since my retirement about 10 years ago, I've been working with my son, who's a builder, and we have done a number of residential projects and small commercial projects.
We'll accept you as an expert.
And Mr. DeRochi, you're licensed in New Jersey, correct?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry.
Alrighty, and you're the architect of record for this project.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy, we still cannot hear you. So,
well, what shall we let Mr. DeRochi? We'll let him testify, and maybe Ms. Mueller can work on the audio.
Okay,
Mr. DeRochi, yeah, is this, let's just see. So why don't we make this exhibit A2, and these are elevations? Are there going to be more than one elevation?
Yeah, I should point out that in your staff memo, they said they reviewed 3 sheets. There's more like 7 sheets in the actual presentation, although I probably won't use them all.
Okay, right.
And I assume you can see the plan now, correct?
Yep.
Good. Unfortunately, Lynn stole most of my thunder, but my job was to roll through this and explain the logic of it, so I'll try to do that. Starting at the left end, there's a stairwell, and that stairwell is located because we have to have, starting in here, there's a kitchen in the existing house, kitchen and little dining area, and this is the wall for the kitchen. So this is the only place, the furthest away from the property line that I could actually locate the addition. Ideally, it would have been 15 feet, but I think it's more like 13 feet. So that this opening, which will have a door in it, will open out into a platform, which will descend half a story down essentially to grade. There'll be one little step up, to protect from water infiltration or whatever, to an entryway, which is also functioning with these closets as a mudroom. And this entryway has a door that is accessed from the parking out here via this porch. And there's also a sliding glass door for people to come out of the house and onto the family patio in the back, in the back side of the house here. Continuing on, this is actually 38 feet, I believe, and that line was set essentially by where we could have the parking to maintain the existing parking and not have any other issues with how that parking is arranged. Then starting here, there's a family room, and that family room is 15 feet wide by 20 feet long, It has a cathedral ceiling with a ridge running in this direction, and that's intended for use by the family and also by the guests or the elderly family here. They have access this way, and the family from the house has access this way. So this is a nice gathering area for both. Proceeding on, there's another covered porch out here that has an entrance here that comes in off of the outside yard, and it has its own little corridor, and that corridor has a laundry on it, as well as a bath with a nice walk-in shower, and it also has closets here. And then there's another volume here, which is the bedroom for the guests or for the grandparents in this case. The hallway here with doors at both ends really provides some nice privacy back here for the grandparents when the kids are playing in here, if they're not going to join them. And this bedroom has a sliding glass door out to a much smaller private patio here for them to be able to go outside. So there's a logic to this scheme that actually works pretty well, and that there's a connection of the joint space and then the private space for the guests. So how to make something out of that that's architectural, that's what I was trying to do here. And I had 2 volumes here, the family room and the bedroom, and I decided to make a third one here for the stair. So this has fixed glass in this triangle at the top, which is above eye level. So this provides a lot of daylight both for the kitchen and for the corridor, and it has the same slope as the slopes for these other cathedral ceiling elements. Then there's the glass corridor, and then there's the family room with some small windows that do face out onto the Henderson Avenue, and then there's another glass corridor with the door, and then the bedroom actually is solid on this wall, but does have fixed glass in the gable ends, just as this one does. Tying it all together, having these 3 nice little volumes, is a porch that goes across the front here, and another porch that goes across the front here. Although this one is further forward, this one is recessed a little bit. The ins and outs of these volumes, I think, add a lot of interest to this, but still keep this very low relative to the neighbors who mostly have 2-story houses down the road here. The back is much simpler, and the intent here was to provide as much visual privacy for the neighbor as we could by not having a lot of windows along the backside. So we have these high windows here, which are well above eye level. There is this sliding glass door that goes out onto the patio, but in this general area is where the neighbor's garage is. So these sliding glass doors are actually looking out on behind his garage into the small grassed area he has back there. But there are no other windows at all. This space here is where the bathroom and the laundry are. And then, of course, there's, again, the bedroom, which does not have low windows, but it continues to have this high gable glass. The rear end is pretty self-explanatory. It's just the sloped roof with the sliding glass door out onto the patio. And here's a section through the entire dwelling addition that shows coming out of the kitchen, down the stairs, and then down these stairs into the basement. So this is just actually a pretty nice stair. There is I neglected to mention, there's a Bilko hatch that provides this access now, and it's being destroyed as a result of where this addition falls. But this will make it a much nicer access to the basement. Then there's the foyer, the cathedral ceiling for the family room, another flat roof here. These are acting as separators, as I said, for the other design elements, and then a section to complete the tour is the bedroom with its glass in the gables. Roof just shows the roof plan with the various ridges, the flat roofs, and the sloped roof for the stair. So that's pretty much it. The cathedral ceilings do exceed the 12-foot mark near the top, and so I included in my calculations those areas as FAR. Other than that, the FAR I think was pretty straightforward. So that, in summary, is my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Or
I have one question. With all the emphasis on aging in place and the comfort of the grandparents long term, how do somebody who is unable to maneuver stairs, they can't get from the addition to the main house?
Can I answer this question?
Sure.
We intend this to be a single family house. We have only one kitchen, will be in the main existing dwelling. We welcome our parents to stay, but given the existing condition of the lot size, of the elevation of the house, we feel that building addition at a near ground level without some necessities, for instance, a kitchen, will meet the majority of the needs for housing senior family members.
They don't have access to a kitchen.
well, no. What you're saying is absolutely true, but the stair has solid walls on it, which would allow us to put a chairlift on either one of these to give them access to the whole house. And they're very short runs, so they'd be relatively inexpensive, actually.
That's obviously it's your decision. I just find it unusual emphasizing this generational divide here that there's no, because it appears to me in that connector that you would have the space to put to do something, a ramp in there or something to allow people to move without going. But again, that's your call. I just find it a little strange.
You would
Okay.
find that the calculations for the ramps are surprisingly long. I don't think you could actually get ramps in this 38-foot length with the clearances for platforms at the front and the back and all the rest of it.
Is it 4-foot change in grade between the house and the addition?
Yes, it is. Right.
So you need a 48-foot ramp
Right.
with
And this
a
whole thing is
platform and again, it's your decision, but you could get a switchback in there. It's up to you. It's that's your call, but you could make it work in there, in my opinion. Okay, that's fine. That was my question. Do you have anything else to add, Mr. Uraki?
No, I think I've answered the question as best I could.
Yeah, you did. I think actually architecturally, I think it's a very pleasing shape and form.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, okay. Board members, any questions of the architect?
Steve, I have a question about the application. I don't know if it gets addressed. I don't know who it gets addressed to, but is this considered an ADU?
No.
What they're doing
No.
here?
No,
Well, I'll let Lynn answer that because the germ of the idea was ADU, but we were informed that we really couldn't do that because we needed another access off of Henderson, and it just wasn't going to happen. So that devolved into this design.
Yes, as Steve said, this entire structure will consider as a single family housing, not an ADU. So we're building an addition, not building an ADU.
And we intentionally did not put a kitchen in this little service area to underline that fact.
Okay. All right. So then if we were to approve it, it would say something along the lines of this is not an ADU. So, 20 years from now,
Yes, not.
it's not going to be an ADU.
No, it would be
Well, an
under
ADU
single
essentially is a
ownership.
freestanding unit, which would mean it would have to be on its own little piece of property with setbacks, and it gets pretty complicated pretty fast, I think.
Taylor, can we stop sharing the screen? I don't know who's sharing right now. There we go. Taylor, in Princeton, an ADU can be attached, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so, but this would not be considered an ADU, right?
No, we
Correct.
do not intend this to be an ADU.
No, I understand, but I was directing that to our zoning officer.
Mm-mm.
That's correct, Karen.
So in theory, this could be a single family house and you can add an ADU in the future.
If
If
the
there
bulk
was space.
requirements allowed it.
I'm sorry, say that again, please, Taylor?
If the bulk requirements allowed for that.
Exactly.
But
For
the way we
architect-
constructed this, sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
No.
As we envision this to be a single family house, we did not put in a kitchen. We only put in the living quarter and add the corridor that connects those two structures so that it can consider to be an addition. The main use of the addition, as well as the entire house, is to bring everybody in the family together for extended stay, so grandparents can spend more time with grandkids. Some of the grandparents have to travel overseas to visit here. When they come, they stay for a couple of months. Our current condition make it very difficult to host those long-term stays.
You just answered my question. I was wondering what kind of long-term stays and where you were talking about, because you were asking for an awful lot of variances or something, and I was wondering, are we talking 1 week a month, 2 weeks a year?
Yeah.
Or whatever, and you're saying several months at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So for instance, when my parents travel, they will travel here overseas. So typically they stay for 3 months at a time. Walker's parents both retired, or one is about to retire. And Walker, do you want to say a little bit about your parents?
Sure. They're divorced. One lives a few states away. She would typically stay for a week or so. My father lives in Minnesota. He stays usually for a couple weeks, and they both come more frequently than Lynn's parents, who come once a year, maybe once every 2 years. And Mr. Cohen, going back to what you said about, the stair access to the kitchen, it's my father who's disabled. He has a prosthetic leg. He's somewhat mobile still. I mean, he doesn't use a wheelchair. He can move freely, but some days are good. He's not in a lot of pain. Some days are not good. And so we envision that he could still access the kitchen on the good days, but some days he might not want to. The rest of our parents right now are in very good health. And so we would anticipate the stairs not being an obstacle for them to access the kitchen.
I have a question for the architect. The addition is 85 feet long, plus or minus a foot or so. And the biggest portion of that is that hallway that goes to the family room. Did you have to do that strictly because of the parking? Because you can't
Only
park,
because of the parking. I'm sorry.
you can't
I didn't
park
mean
at
to
the
interrupt.
other end. You couldn't cut that out and park at the back of the unit. Is that?
No, your staff was very clear that we had to keep the parking access exactly where it is, mainly because of all this
Yes.
stuff with the.
And so, but that necessitated a 38-foot
Yeah,
hallway.
I started out at 28 feet.
Okay. I mean, I find 85 feet to 85 by 15 to be a very long addition, very kind of odd shaped
Definitely
addition.
is. It's totally dictated by the logic of the site and the location of the parking.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Please continue.
It's good. Do you think Ms. Mueller will be able to resolve the audio?
Can you hear me through the iPhone that's on here?
Oh, yes, we can. That's great. Excellent. Well, let's swear you in. Do you swear from your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes, I do.
All righty. And then do you want to share with the board your licensing and credentials?
Sure. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Civil and Environmental Engineering from Clarkson University. I'm a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. My license is in good standing. I'm the principal and owner of Muller Engineering. We've gone through some name changes, but I've been at that firm for 25 years and purchased it in 2020 fully. I've testified before Princeton, I believe when it was split. I'm not sure if I've been in front of the board since it's combined, but I've testified in front of dozens of towns, including West Windsor. My office is in Warren and the surrounding towns in Somerset, Union, and Mercer counties.
We'll accept you as an expert. Please
Thank you.
continue.
And Ms. Mueller, you're the engineer of record, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Thank you.
So if I may, I'd like to share my screen. The plans I have up on the screen are what were submitted to the township or municipality as part of can everybody see my screen?
We can. Do you want to make this an exhibit?
No, these are the same that were submitted. They're unaltered, last
Okay.
revised 2/10/26.
Okay.
So you've heard a lot of testimony. Everybody's did part of my job. I'll give you the quick overview just so we can get the lay of the land. You've heard a lot about this existing lot known as Lot 19 and 20, the corner lot of Henderson and Mountain Avenue, an existing single-family home facing Mountain Avenue. The lot is very deep and narrow. It's about 239 feet deep with an average depth of only 45, ranging from 42 in the rear to the widest point of 47 towards Mountain Avenue. So, and you've also heard that it's undersized at 10,720 square feet in a 65,340 square foot zone. So when we apply the setbacks per the strict zoning, it's required to have a 25-foot setback along Henderson, considered a front yard, and 15 feet to the side, which is adjacent to 21 and 29, and 15 in the back. So with an average of 45 feet, if you were to apply a 25-foot setback and a 15-foot side yard setback, leaves you a 5-foot building envelope. So a number of the existing conditions are pre-existing and non-conforming, and I'll explain why we have numerous other new variances per the interpretation of the zoning officer. So I'm going to go to sheet 2, which we have two different layouts, the site dimension up top and some grading down below. I'll start with the site dimension, as Steve has given ample information as to why we've designed the building this way. It's to maintain the existing driveway. One prior submission that we had a second driveway, which was removed due to feedback from not only the zoning officer, but also the neighbor across the street. So we did a lot to maintain the 2 spots that we have. There's a proposed patio in the back, the covered porches, which you've heard, and a patio off the back. One element that we haven't spoken about is there is a detached shed currently on the site. This will be better. So we're asking for some pre-existing non-conforming dimensional setbacks for that shed as well as part of the application. It's located in the front yard, as you can see by this dotted line through the middle of the lot. If we put the setbacks on here, we get this very narrow, deep rectangle where any amenities are really allowed to be by zone. So I just wanted to touch on that. It hasn't been spoken to yet. We've done preliminary grading on the lower portion of this plan. I intend to agree, and if the board were to vote favorably on the application, we will submit a full lot grading plan for approval by your engineering department and review of the full zoning. We will do stormwater management in compliance with Princeton regulations. I've done a lot of stormwater designs in Princeton municipality for some of Steve's projects, and also another engineering firm that does projects locally. So I'm very familiar with those. I'm confident in what we've sketched out here. We'll do soil testing for stormwater management. So what I'd really like to do is focus on the zoning. You've heard that we have a number of variances pre-existing. So I'm just going to go through the zoning table as it's shown on the plan. You've heard that we're undersized in lot area. We're undersized in lot width. Our lot depth exceeds the 239, exceeds the 175 required. And the frontage, again, for the long rectangular lot, we meet the lot frontage on Henderson, while we're deficient and pre-existing along Mountain Avenue at 47.03. Front yard setbacks. You have heard that we are deficient currently along Henderson Avenue in the back right rear corner at 8.61. During the zoning review, how the addition was analyzed was segmental. Because we have the long, narrow portion of the hallway, we have the common living area, which widens out, and the bedroom in the back. All 3 segments were analyzed per the zoning. So if you were to put a house on a property, typically it's measured to the nearest point. But what we've done here, per feedback from the zoning officer, is analyzed all 3. So when we asked for 3 front yard setbacks relative to Henderson, those are for each individual segment of the building. So rather than 1 variance, we're asking for 3. So that's where the variances become numerous, but it's still just for the 1 structure. And again, 25 is required, as you've heard, due to the lot shape. It's just unachievable for a 5-foot wide house. So to the rear porch, this is considered the rear porch, we're proposing 11.3 feet, still exceeding the 8.61, which is the goal, to narrow this down to not have it as impactful as we can. To the middle addition, we're 13.5 proposed. And then to the covered porch, and in our zoning chart, we've clarified adjacent to the existing house is proposed to be 18.6. So those are 3 new variances which we are seeking. The front yard to Mountain Avenue is complying, and there's no improvements that will change that. The side yard, this is the western portion of the property, adjacent to lot 21 and 29. Again, we're requesting 3 setback variances for I'm sorry, 2 setback variances for the side yard. We have the existing at 2.92. We've requested or identified a setback variance to the patio at 3.8 at this point. And then the main structure at its nearest is 12.5 feet setback. So those are the setbacks adjacent to the side yard. And you've heard some testimony about the neighbor's garage. You could see the proximity where the bulk of it is where our proposed patio is. So we've really tried to put our living space adjacent to the garage. Continuing along the zoning table, the minimum rear yard required is 15. Even with the deep addition, would still be 65.7 from the rear yard. The accessory detached shed, which is to remain, again, we have a pre-existing non-conforming because it's technically in the front yard relative to Henderson. The side and rear yard, it is compliant. So you've heard a lot about what we're trying to put on the lot. It's basically a house addition. It's undersized. But I think one key element here is we're still compliant with the impervious coverage. So we're not overbuilding it. A lot of these variances are relative to the undersized and the 2 front yard setbacks. So we're allowed up to 49.5, existing is 31.83, and we're proposing 43.67, which is compliant. The building height by distance and height, vertical distance, is compliant, and that's the main house. As you've heard, we've also kept the height down on the addition. We have pre-existing setback ratios to height. So what is required for the height is a secondary calculation. For every 1 foot in height, it's required to be 1.5 feet setback, or 1.5 feet from the property line. So 1 foot up, 1.5 from the property line, 2 feet up, 3 feet from the property line. So we've calculated all of those ratios with a lot of help from your former zoning officer, Derek, and we've identified 3 new variances associated with the setback from Henderson Avenue. Again, it's for the 1 addition analyzed in 3 segments. 1 for the front addition, the mid-roof addition, and the rear roof addition. 1.15 is required. We're proposing 1.31, 1.21, and 1.05. These are also applied to the side yard. So again, this is adjacent and relative to lot 21 and 29. Those requested variances, again, split into 3 right now. It's non-conforming as low as 0.68. We're proposing 1.31, 1.28. Oops, sorry, I'm reading the wrong ones. The existing 1-story is as low as 0.27 and 0.4. Our proposed addition ratios are 1 to 0.84, 1.46, slightly below allowable, and then in the rear, 0.86. The rear yard, we're compliant. Again, we still have, because of the depth of the lot, those all comply. The floor area ratio allowed is 0.23. We're asking for 0.3136. It's approximately 897 square feet over what's allowed. As you've heard, we've tried to minimize the area for the new addition. It's the length for the parking. We're allowed 1 driveway per lot. One of our original submissions, we were asking for 2, and in discussions, we removed that variance. There's a maximum width of the driveway at the street, a maximum width of the driveway at the right-of-way line. 14 at the street, but it must narrow down to 10 by the time you get to the right-of-way. As you've seen by the prior pictures, it's a 2-car wide driveway. So we have left that unchanged. At the street, it's 19.65, and at the right-of-way, it's 19.97. This is not an oversized driveway for 2 cars with opening your doors. So we left that pre-existing. The front yard setback is an interesting one. We're going from 5.75 feet setback down to 0.6 without changing our driveway. So how that is measured is if you have an 18-foot spot, how much room is between that 18-foot spot and the right-of-way. So because we're shortening up a bit of the driveway with the covered porch, that is a required variance. It is not due to any construction of new driveway. We're not putting more driveway closer to Henderson. It is just mathematical per the ordinance. So again, you can see that all these Ps were pre-existing non-conforming due to the age of the house and the current zoning. And then the majority of our new variances are relative to setbacks, which are unattainable due to the narrowness of the property. And then the height, which I believe Mr. Duraki and Ms. Gu have given a lot of information as to how we've really tried to minimize the heights of this structure while also providing architectural character so it'll be appealing to the neighbors. So that's about it on the engineering. There is one tree to be removed that's central to the property. It's in poor condition now, and we've tried to, there's a couple other mature trees on the site. We've graded and did limited disturbance to not impact those trees, to not clear cut those trees. Everybody wants shade on their patio. It's a detriment to the neighbors. It's also a detriment to the applicant. So we've really taken a close look at the grading. You see from a number of spot shots to not impact those trees with the construction. Impervious coverage, the total increase is 1268. Anything over 400 requires major stormwater per state regs in Princeton, which we are aware of, and we don't have any concern with meeting those regulations. We'll do soil tests, etc. So that's the engineering. I hope I added some more extra information than what you've heard. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Ma'am, just for clarification, is it your testimony then that the site can accommodate the increased floor area ratio?
Yes.
Okay, and can you elaborate on that? Just explain why.
Sure. So it's a one-story addition. As you've heard, it's a long addition to keep the parking. But the key element here, obviously, we can't meet setbacks, which is always a nice indicator that you're not overdeveloping the site. But we're not exceeding the impervious coverage allowed for this site size of a lot. So I think that's a very important zoning criteria that we are meeting, that we're actually under.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board members, any questions of the engineer? I have one. And maybe this is inappropriate. The Henderson right of way, in a photograph that Ms. Gu showed, there was a dense planting buffer that she said would remain. Is that within the Henderson right of way and the existing house, or is it all, where is it?
It's in between the walkway and the edge of pavement. So on my screen right here, you can see that existing walkway, which you saw a picture of. And this dashed line is the edge of pavement. So
that's in the right of way.
It is partially in the right of way. Yep. We didn't survey where the stems were, but I would assume that they're either on the right of way line or in the right of way.
And maybe this Henderson is not a public street. It's a private street, as I understand it. And it's subject to some litigation as it moves past your property? Or is so the planting buffer is subject to whatever this whole litigation issue is with the right of way?
I would assume so. I'm not privy to the lawsuit or the premise of it.
Okay, well, I guess at the onset, you indicated the applicant, that the approval is going to be contingent upon getting the right-of-way issue resolved, and then our municipal engineer would review it all and make a determination. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, that was it. So it doesn't need to be answered right now. Okay, that was it. All right, are there any other questions of the architect, the owner, or the engineer right now? Okay, Ms. Gu, do you have any more witnesses?
I do not have any more witnesses. Later in the public comment session, some of our neighbors might join the conversation, but I do have a few more slides I would like to use to conclude our presentation.
Okay, please.
And Ms. Gu, this is all part of your Exhibit A1, the
Yes.
exhibit we started with. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes. So finally, we wanted to argue that the building of the addition promotes affordability and inclusiveness, preserves historic characters of the neighborhood, and contributes to the public good. We understand that Princeton strives to be a more affordable, inclusive community. And one aspect of inclusiveness is to welcome people of all ages and health conditions. Therefore, we believe our proposed tailored to the needs of seniors is aligned with this long-term vision of Princeton. We believe it benefits the larger community to have more houses in Princeton that are built or modified with careful consideration of the needs of people of all ages, including seniors. Furthermore, upgrading our existing house can also help further diversify Princeton's housing stock, making our town better suited for future multi-generational households. So in addition to serving our needs, it could potentially benefit future owners who share the needs of caring for older family members. Lastly, our house is located in a very walkable neighborhood. It is on the municipal shuttle route next to Mountain Lake Nature Preserve, close to the municipal center, the CP pool, walkable to downtown. Princeton Master Plan encourages modification and retrofitting houses near town or transit to accommodate diverse family needs. Allowance of the proposed addition will not change the character of the house or more broadly, the neighborhood. We believe our proposal demonstrates a balance of preserving historical integrity and meeting the demand of diversifying housing needs. Very quickly, I want to mention that beyond Princeton and across New Jersey, there has been an increased awareness of housing planning to facilitate multi-generational households. This is a draft of the New Jersey State Plan. The draft state plan advocates for age-friendly housing options. Therefore, it encourages the building of multi-generational households to support families and those working from home. Hence, the draft plan recommends that zoning barriers be removed to create opportunities for multi-generational living. The benefits of this kind of a housing, multi-generational housing model are also supported by a growing body of academic research. See a few cited here. Taken together, those studies show that multi-generational living is becoming increasingly common, and it can offer meaningful benefits for older adults and families. Overall, these findings support the value of home designs that make multi-generation living safer, more practical, and more sustainable. This is our last slide. So to summary, we propose adding critically needed living space to accommodate extended stays by senior family members. The addition incorporates age-focused design that would allow seniors to live safely and comfortably at home. It will continue the architectural characteristics of the existing dwelling, helping preserve the character of the neighborhood. It will maintain the entire residence as an owner-occupied single-family home. We're not building an addition. We're not building an ADU. Recognizing the implications of the requested zoning variance, we have made every effort to minimize impacts on the neighborhood and are seeking only the variance necessary to meeting our needs. Because the lot is extraordinarily undersized and existing house presents significant age and mobility-related challenges, strict application of the zoning ordinance would prevent us from reasonably using the property to host and care for family members. We believe that in this case, the benefits of granting the requested variance substantially outweigh any potential detriments. And finally, the proposed addition would contribute to a more inclusive community by supporting multi-generational living, diversifying Princeton's housing stock, and preserving the character of the neighborhood. Thank you all for listening.
Okay. Board members, any questions of the applicant, the architect, the engineer right now? Okay, we're going to open this up to the public or public comment. Ms. Gu, I think you've done it already, but if you want to say one more thing before we go into the public portion, you're more than welcome to do that.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that we shared our plan with a lot of neighbors, received support from a lot of them. And our neighbor Carl has agreed to speak during public comments. Hopefully, he will get a chance to talk. Our neighbor John DeRocci will also speak in support of our case. So we really appreciate all the support neighbors are showing for us, and also for the opportunity by the board for us to present our case to the board.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this point, we're going to open this hearing up to the public. If there's anyone in the public who'd like to speak, please indicate that by pushing the raise your hands button on the bottom of the screen, and we will recognize you. Claudia, has anyone indicated they'd like to speak to this application?
Yes, Kathy Stillo.
Okay.
I'm
Ma'am,
sorry. Great. Am
that's
I
fine.
on?
You are. We need to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
I do.
And do you feel comfortable giving us your address?
15 Henderson Avenue.
Great. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I'm calling in from Italy. It's 3 a.m., so it's a little bit difficult. But thanks for the opportunity to speak. I own lot 15 that you saw the plans that's directly across from the proposed structure, and Walker and Lynn's property. In general, I very much welcome ADUs and more density in Princeton. I have lived here for 23 years. And I plan to age in place in my house and stay. It's a 1.5 story house, which is just 1,212 square feet. So the view from my front windows, and I brought Lynn over and we looked out, is currently their backyard. There's a trampoline there now. And that's where the new structure is proposed. Henderson is a very small road. We all impact each other a lot. So my real concern, and the only one I have, Lynn and Walker are aware of this, is just the parking. The structure is essentially going to behave as an ADU, which was originally, the germ of the idea, as the architect said. And I get that. I think, that you can't build an ADU because then you'd have to improve the road or something. But whether it's called an ADU or it's called an addition, it's still, whether it's this family or surely future owners will want to rent it. And, the structure is going to be separate from the main house in a way in which that dynamic is sure to play out at some point. I plan on living here for a long time. So I imagine seeing that dynamic play out. I just also feel it's important to note that while Lynn and Walker's parents are the focus of this, and I get that, I have family members as well who I might need to have come live with me at one point. I'm really sensitive to the aging in place issue for myself and for my own family. And I get it for this family, and I want to help them be able to do that. And yet at the same time, there's just the reality that this could be rented if this family needs more income in the future, or any future owners want and need to create more income. And so back to parking. So if we're going to build a 1,290 square foot structure, it's surely going to need parking, either with this family or future, owners. And the original design that Lynn brought to me, we were looking at, had parking right in front of my house. And this current design that you've seen tonight has eliminated that. I think we heard that from the engineer as well. And I get that the issues with the road about easements and the litigation that 25 Henderson has brought against all the neighbors are driving that issue around, can you create new parking off the road? But essentially that's going to have to happen with a 1,290 square foot building. And what I don't want is for the board to approve what we see now and then for parking to just happen by driving the car into the backyard and parking it at the end of this structure, which is right in front of the slider for the bedroom, which is literally right in front of my front door. Why not increase and expand the current parking? So I've discussed this with Lynn as well. So that's really what I'm asking, is that the board require that additional parking is specifically added and approved now, so that it doesn't just happen after the fact and be put next to the bedroom. I see that with the current design, that the impact to increase the current parking from, it's only 2 spots. They have kids, they're going to need more cars in the future. If you expand the current parking, I know Lynn's concern was that then this long corridor would be pushed out even further. And I think there's an FAR issue. I mean, at 1,290 square feet of a total addition, it feels like they have plenty of room to play with there. Again, my house is only 1,212 square feet, so I'm sensitive to that. But also I'm concerned about the landscaping, which was mentioned earlier. So I really would ask the zoning board to make some sort of requirement, I don't know how you do that the landscaping cannot be removed and no new parking can be added without zoning board approval. I'd really prefer that it's planned and approved now, because I don't know how enforcement works later. As you can see, I'm not a professional in this area. I work in healthcare. But another consideration is that Mountain Avenue is at the Henderson area, designated as a historic district. So once you combine lots 19 and 20, you now have, only Mountain Avenue as the front the frontage, and it's part of a historic district. So that's really what I wanted to request and ask of the zoning board, was really to be sensitive to how parking impacts the neighbors, and to be clear that such a large additional structure, whether it's an ADU or it's an addition, whatever terminology we want to use, will surely require the people who are using it, whether it's now and certainly in the future, to have parking specifically designated. And like we said in the beginning of the meeting, the only access that this house has with frontage on Mountain is on Henderson Avenue. So that parking is going to have to end up on Henderson Avenue. I'm available for any questions, and I really appreciate your time and consideration.
Board members, any questions of the neighbor? This isn't a question for you, but it seems to me that a lot of this determination of what's going to happen here is based on ultimately what happens with the disposition of Henderson. So I think in anything we do, if we're going to approve this, we've got to put something in the resolution that talks to how this whole Henderson outcome will affect any approvals we give, and what happens when that happens, or if it happens, how we'll react to that, and changes possibly. Which is, I agree with the neighbor, that's an important factor. Okay, Claudia, is there anyone else who'd like to speak on behalf of this application?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have Mr. Carl Burns.
Okay.
Could I say something quickly that just occurred to me about the parking? I wish I were there right now so I could really see, like kind of walk around and have a better sense. But I'm wondering, Stillo, if you or what you would think, but I also just generally am wondering if additional parking were stipulated now, which I mean seems sensible to me. How we could be sure that there wouldn't still be more parking happening in the back where you think it might just end up. And I don't know how that would be fixed.
And I don't know how to do that right now either. And so I think we'll try to, if we're leaning towards a resolution of this, we'll try to put some wording in the resolution that speaks to changes from this plan. There is no additional parking proposed now, and I don't think we can't actually initiate that. So I think we can speak to the potential change later, but not much more than that right now.
Could I just ask a procedural question? And I really don't know. But how would that work if it's not pre-planned now with the design, new parking? How could that be enforced after the fact or many years down the road with, additional cars just driving into the backyard beyond the bedroom? So,
well, I mean, it's really hard to say, but there's no plan right now to add any additional cars. If in the future people start to park where they shouldn't park, then if the municipality is aware of this, then they'll take action to resolve it.
okay, I didn't realize that was possible. It sounds to me like that's a much harder scenario for the neighbors to tolerate, versus having it pre-planned and approved now.
There's nothing to pre-plan. They've not proposed anything. And so there's nothing to discuss.
Taylor, wouldn't additional parking, I'm not sure where it could go on the site, but wouldn't that require additional variance relief now?
Probably for impervious coverage.
Yeah, and I was going to add to the enforcement question that you were asking is that if our office was made aware that there was a parking, there was parking happening where it wasn't previously approved, that would go into impervious coverage. That would, it would trigger a zoning violation, essentially, of something that wasn't approved, and we would refer back to the conditions of the approval if it was, in the conditions of the approval. If not, it would have to meet the current zoning standards. So if they were,
Makes sense.
Could I just one more question? So impervious coverage, I think, means gravel. Is that right?
yeah, any
Yes,
coverage on the lot.
Okay, but what if you just drive onto the grass?
It's the idea, as Mrs. Gribben said, if parking is taking place on that lot where it's not approved, it would be subject, whether it's on the grass or on paving that's not previously approved, it would be subject to municipal action.
That is
Okay, I
correct.
appreciate hearing that.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. Gribben? Yes,
Yes.
okay. Good. Okay, Claudia, can you allow the next person to speak?
Mr. Burns, can you come on, please? Unmute yourself.
Okay.
We can't see you, Mr. Burns. Can you turn on your video?
I'm looking for that.
Okay.
Start share.
Mhm.
Generally, where there's an audio button next to it is a video button.
Got it, I think.
There you are.
How's that?
Great. Mr. Burns, I need to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes.
And do you feel comfortable giving us your address?
Sure. It's 30 Henderson Avenue.
Great. Thank you very much.
Make your comment.
Yeah, let's see. I am, as I just stated, I live on Henderson, and I'm friends. I've known one member of Lyndon Walker's family, Walker's father, who lives in Minnesota, for about 6 years now. And I've known the whole family. I've met them all. And I guess the point I want to add to all of the content that's been developed already is just that I appreciate a lot the whole intent of a multi-generational household, and I enjoy the family that I've gotten to know of Lyndon Walker's family. And that's really the nugget of the only thing that I can really add. I grew up in Trenton till the age of 13 or so, and I've lived in Princeton. I've lived in Princeton about half of my life, more than 40 years. And I've enjoyed some other places as well, which I won't list. But I just think the multi-generational aspect of this proposal is terrific, and it'll be useful in the future. And I think that's what I wanted to say.
Okay.
And if you have any questions of me, I'm happy to answer them.
Board members, any questions of Mr. Burns? Mr. Burns, thank you very much. Okay,
Thank you.
Claudia, you're welcome. Is there anyone else who'd like to comment on this application?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, 1 second. It's John D.
Hi,
Well, sir,
my name's
could we get your full name, please?
sure, it's Jonathan Duraki.
All right, and Mr. Duraki, could you give us your address, please?
11 Henderson Avenue.
Thank you. And do you swear or affirm any testimony you give this evening will be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to rise in support of this application. I'm the neighbor across the street. I've known Lynn Walker for a long time also, just like Carl. And I also believe that the multi-generational aspect of what they're trying to do is very beneficial. I also believe that the zoning density that only helps the town in general, meaning that it reduces the urban sprawl and so on, by allowing people to use their properties in ways that make sense. They don't have exactly the configuration to do a proper ADU. I don't either, as someone on a very small lot across the street. My lot's about, I think it's actually smaller than Kathy's in terms of its size. So I believe in the concept of the ADU, and this is a unique way to do it. It's a pretty simple one-story structure, and from the neighbor directly across the street, I look out right onto it. I have no problem with this going forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have a question for him.
Please.
Sure.
John, are you at all concerned about the parking issues?
No, I think I've had that house for 20 plus years now. And I've never really had issues with people parking I've never experienced that of any issues with parking. It certainly would be, I think they may, if there was a way to get a spot, that certainly would be beneficial. The coverage issue, I think, could be taken care of through, I work in Princeton and on houses in Princeton, and we've done driveways with geotextiles and other things to reduce the impervious coverage and so on. So I think there's certainly a solution that could be easily found there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any more questions of this witness? Not witness, but neighbor? Okay, Claudia, anyone else?
There are no more hands raised.
All right. At this point, we'll conclude the public portion of the hearing, and we will go into executive session in a moment, but Ms. Gu, do you want to say anything more before we go into executive session?
Yes, I just want to say a few thank you to the neighbors for showing up, and thank you, Kathy, for sharing your concern. We chatted before on the parking issue. As you can see, over the years, when our parents visit, they have not been driven cars. And when we are also have been very mindful of the parking traffic situation on Henderson. So when kids are dropped off for play day, we also often make it parking very short or on the other side of the street on Mountain. So I know this is something that you're concerned of, but this is certainly not our intention to bring additional car to Henderson, because we know this is a private narrow street. Everybody have limited parking space. So, but thank you for sharing your concern. Also, I wanted to mention Walker prepared a speech, but he did not finish. During COVID, Walker's dad, Mark, stayed here for 6 months, and we enjoyed his stay. Kids enjoyed spending time with grandparents. But also during that time, we realized the limited living space in our current house cannot make this long-term arrangement long-term and beneficial and sustainable. That is another motivation for us to adding more living space. So when we actually welcome in to stay with us, it will be sustainable and it be meant for successful, and it can be a long-term solution for families. So again, thank you so much for listening.
All right, at this point, we'll go into executive session. Board members, raise any concerns, any discussion we want to have, or does someone want to make a motion?
I have some questions, couple questions, I guess. One for Taylor. This addition is 1,290 square feet. I was wondering, do you know if, and I know they're not, if it was an ADU being built on this property, what the maximum by code could be, because it's relative to the existing house, I believe.
It would be 25% of the square footage of the principal dwelling, or 800 square foot. And then again, there are exemptions within the code for allowable floor area over that.
And the principal dwelling, does anybody know what size that is and what 25% of that is?
Off the top of my head, no.
What is the
2,300 square feet, I think.
The current square feet is 2072 square feet.
27?
2072.
2072.
2072. So, Michael, it'd probably be a little over 500 square feet would be the allowable ADU.
And then again, with exemptions to the floor area.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't it be the 800? Because it's whichever is larger, right? So it would be the 800.
Yeah.
Good point. So we're talking 800 compared to 1,290. And I understand it's not an ADU. I just wanted to get in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Second question, can anybody explain to me the litigation and what are the possible outcomes? How do people get affected? Possible.
Michael, the Hayda family, they are at 25 Henderson. Apparently, they believe that the deeds of record show that they own Henderson Avenue. Okay. And the litigation is for determination by the court as to whether the deeds in fact show this. And if they do, then what will be the access for the homes on Henderson who all need that access in order to get out to the street. So this is what's in play now. And I think one of the neighbors indicated that they had all been sued by the Hendersons, and it's something called a quiet title action. So the idea is you're putting all the properties on notice that you feel are either you own those properties or they're being affected by the claim that you're making.
So there are no easements that exist now?
Well, and the other side of the argument is that I'm not sure if the neighbors are alleging that no, they they own, they have ownership, or at a minimum, they have easements. And it all ties back into deeds of record and a chain of deeds. And what do these deeds depict? So in a quiet title action, you go to court and you say to the judge, you decide. And both sides apparently have given the judge documentation and made arguments and written briefs. And now the judge has to make the decision.
So for the applicant, you have a deed. Does your deed have an easement recorded on it?
Unfortunately, no.
No. Okay. Okay.
But by necessity, we have easement right and the previous owners as well.
I'm not sure what that means by necessity. Meaning
they can't get out. I mean, they could not, if they cannot cross onto Henderson Avenue, they cannot get out to a public street. And meaning the rest of the world, like they have to be able to go on Henderson, including this applicant, because although they front on Mountain, their access, their driveway is on Henderson. So all the neighbors have to be able to travel on Henderson Avenue to get out.
Okay.
So since we're not involved in the litigation, I can't imagine that the owners of 25 Henderson who brought this quiet title, I can't imagine that they would take the position that no one has access. But again, we're not involved in the litigation, so.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
So let's continue on in our discussions. Any comments on the application or questions about it? I mean, it seems to be, a functional design. I don't necessarily agree with it, as I mentioned before, but that's what the applicant wants to do. I think it takes into consideration the narrowness of the lot. And I think architecturally, I think it's sensitive to the house, and I don't see where it would create any disturbance for the neighbors. My comment. Yes, please.
Yeah, I think that the parking issue that the neighbor is raising would possibly become an issue if this were treated as or turned into an ADU. And so and since that's not the applicant's intention, are we able to say, if we approve this, are we able to say in a resolution of approval that this is not an ADU, it's not intended to be an ADU, and have that be, binding? And
Taylor, I have a question for you. Just to put on the record, this could not qualify as an ADU because why?
There are no kitchen facilities.
Okay.
It's also not entirely separated from the main dwelling. If it was attached to the main dwelling, it would have to have a wall between the two, a demising wall.
Okay. Well, then I think, Donna, to answer your question, I think we could do that. We could spell out in the resolution. One of the findings would be it does not meet the criteria or standards for an ADU, and it's not being approved as an ADU. So I think we could make that clear in the resolution.
But that doesn't keep it ever from being turned into a rental unit.
Yeah. Stephen,
mean, that just
I
means
think,
they can't sell it as
yeah,
a
I mean,
separate.
the zoning ordinances evolve over time. So it's, I think all we can do is deal with the current zoning we have. And for example, the concern with parking, I think the suggestion was that no additional parking could be placed on the site without zoning approval. And since it increases impervious coverage, I don't know if the amount of coverage could be constrained to the point where it would not need a variance. But so I think that's all we can deal with now, because in the future, the zoning ordinances can be changed many ways to accommodate permutations of ADUs, or something that right now doesn't qualify as an ADU, but 10 years from now, oh, it does. The ordinance has been changed, and now here are other options for people. But I think for the time being, yes, we could make findings in the resolution that this does not qualify as an ADU. And it's not being approved as one, nor does the applicant, nor are they seeking that. They're seeking this as an addition to their home.
I think we need to, what we're talking about, we need to, if we can, more focus on limiting the possibility of parking. I don't know if we can, but whether we call it an ADU, I mean, just having more living space and having people who are young grow up and become drivers encourages the possibility of more cars being there. So it doesn't matter whether we're calling it an ADU or just an addition. But I'm not clear about, it doesn't sound like, I'm not sure what we can do. It doesn't, I'm not hearing any clear path forward to, other than that there's enforcement possibility in the future if parking happens on where it's not supposed to.
Well, I'm not sure what else you could do with any property. If people are parking where they should not be parking, and it's brought to the attention of the town, and the zoning officer goes out and confirms and says, yeah, you're not supposed to be parking there. Either the property owner, they'll get a notice, a zoning violation. If they don't rectify it, then they get issued a summons. They have to go to municipal court. So normally most property owners would say, okay, I won't do it anymore, or I guess I have to make an application now. I have to come in for a variance, and that's what property owners would normally do, and not just for parking, for many aspects of what they may be doing to their home. So I don't know what we would do differently with another property.
Yeah, this doesn't seem all that different from any site that has restrictive limited parking. I mean, I think it comes up as more of a focus because of the particularities of this site, but it's a common thing in other projects.
Now, I know other comment or concern was raised about the existing, I guess it's a dense hedge that's along Henderson right now. I don't know how the litigation will turn out, and if that had to be removed, is there room on the property to put a hedge if the existing landscaping was removed? If the determination is made that the owners of 25 Henderson in fact own this street, and I'm asking that question. I don't know, Taylor, that would be maybe a question for you. Is there room to put other landscaping now? If it wasn't in the right, I mean, if it had to be hold.
It would have to be on the property line or
Yeah.
over.
Right.
So
Sure, what you're getting at, Karen. How does that affect anything?
I'm asking it because the neighbor still raised the concern about that, and I think during the hearing, concern was raised since it's in the right of way.
If I might, this is Steve Draki.
Yep.
There's no room as it's currently configured, but the walk that is restricting where the planting could be moved closer to the house, and then there would be room to not relocate that mature hedge, but plant a new hedge on their property. It would just require the relocation of the sidewalk.
I don't know if we're even moving in the right direction with these discussions because we have no idea what the litigation is going to be and how many other things in addition to the landscaping this would affect.
Steve, you're right, but I'm bringing it up just because we have a neighbor who is raising the concern and asking the board, would you consider these issues? And this applicant, I'm sure they don't want to come back again. So we're trying to, or at least I'm raising these to see if these can be addressed in some fashion in the resolution. So that
the hedge that's in front of the addition
wait, I'm sorry, who's speaking?
I'm sorry, this is Catherine Muller, the engineer. I'm the iPhone. I'm the visual in the iPhone. In front of the addition, we have plenty of room to move it back. So
Karen, I'm wondering if, given the potential for changes, can we say in the resolution, if we're going to move in that direction, that this would have to come back to us for changes because there are so many potential changes that I'm not sure we can just turn this all over to our engineer and let him resolve it without talking with us.
Well, except that, Steve, if it's coming back to us, so you're saying we would retain jurisdiction for how long?
I don't know. I mean, I guess.
Well, that's why I thought perhaps we could sort of, that there is a way to address it in this resolution, meaning, okay, no additional parking is going to be added without zoning approval. Now, if that means they first go to the zoning officer and the zoning officer tells them, yes, you can do this. All right, well, they talk to the zoning officer and she's indicated to them that a space, wherever it might be, is compliant. All right, so I mean, I'm not sure why that would need to, what connection that would have to the litigation. As far as the hedge goes, well, again, I'm not sure what would be gained by someone forcing the removal of that hedge. I don't know how that's productive to anybody, but if the court concludes that one property owns the entire street, then I guess you could say potentially, yeah, they would have the ability to say that. So I'm raising it just to figure out, okay, if that were to happen, can additional landscaping be added as a buffer? Now that would mean that this would fall on the applicant to do that, but.
The one neighbor who discussed the parking is only one neighbor. There are other neighbors that would be affected by changes in parking there.
Well, yes, but if the applicant is willing to accept that there won't be additional parking on the site without zoning approval, and I say that, they may just go to the zoning officer and she may say, show me what you want to do. Oh, it's compliant. Fine. you can go ahead and do it. Or I'm sorry, it's not. You'll have to come in front of the board. So I don't know, Steve, you want to leave this hanging until there's a decision by the court. Okay. I'm not sure that the decision that the court's asked to make is, it's not going to be anything about landscaping or additional parking. It's about ownership. Who owns that private street? That's, as I understand it, that's what the case is about. So I don't know how open this would stay, that
Didn't the applicant say at the onset that they wouldn't do anything until this litigation was resolved?
what the condition that has been suggested by our zoning officer and staff is that they cannot get a building permit or a zoning permit until they can provide a valid access easement. And the assumption is that can't happen until the current litigation has been disposed of by the court. So it could be very quickly. We don't know how long it's going to take. But I think, yes, that's the condition as proposed, and the applicant has agreed to that. Things like hedges having to be a forced removal of a hedge, or adding parking on your property, which hasn't been approved. My thought was if it could be resolved in this resolution, that might be helpful. But if the board prefers to put a condition that says no additional parking without zoning board approval, no removal of hedge without zoning board approval,
No changes, maybe without zoning board approval.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get that specific to hedges or parking, because there may be something else that comes up.
all right.
I guess, I'd like to hear what the other board members think. Well,
Yeah, I think that's a broader way of preserving what was submitted as what gets done. Otherwise, you have to come forward again.
Litigation ongoing. We don't know what's going to happen with this.
And when we say, if we say no additional parking, we really mean, or do we really mean the area cannot be expanded? I'm just making sure we're clear on what no additional parking means.
So no expansion of parking area.
Parking would expand the impervious coverage as well, so.
Well,
It would. I think there was a comment about potentially there might be a way to do that to reduce impervious coverage, so you might kind of slide in under the maximum coverage.
You have a site plan that has a defined parking area in it, so it may be good that it not be expanded.
Okay. Now remember, of course, since this is a single family home, they don't have to provide a site plan, and frequently professionals will say, well, this is our site plan, but it's not a formal site plan.
Okay.
So in terms of, but we can say, all right, so no expansion of the parking area without zoning board approval. I'm not sure how you want to describe if this hedge is removed, if the dense hedge along Henderson.
You just say no changes to the landscaping or the parking without board approval?
Not nearly as concerned about the hedges.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm sorry, say again? I missed.
Not concerned about the hedges.
You're not or you are?
I am not.
Okay. Well, again, you're not.
I
But the
am. Me
neighbor is,
personally,
so.
I
I
don't
agree
think
with
that
you,
should be one of
Stephen.
the holdups here. The parking, I think, is something we should say. But the hedges are going to get taken down if the litigation goes against these owners, and if the litigation goes against these owners, they're not going to be able to do it anyhow. So, I think it's a moot point.
Well, in other applications, it's not unusual for the board to consider buffering. And in this case, the buffering exists. There is a hedge, and I think the applicant, they pointed that out to explain they weren't going to change it. It would remain as a buffer.
Right.
So I think the question is,
unless the litigation goes against them. And if it goes against them, then they're probably not going to be able to do this project anyhow. So I don't.
Well, I don't think we can assume though that even if the party bringing the action is successful, I'm not sure on what basis they could deny access to all their neighbors to use Henderson.
I don't either.
It would have to be in a form of an easement.
And in that case, the hedge would remain where it is.
All right. Well, look, I know
I don't think it hurts though to include that as a
motion
factor.
Make a motion.
Well, I'm
So maybe
ready.
we're still talking, Steve.
We are, but I don't think we're going anywhere. So what's the next step?
Well, does anybody have any other points, comments? Anyone? Concerns?
Would you like to make a motion? Make a motion. And then we'll discuss the motion.
I think my last comment is, I understand the workaround. It's not an ADU. There's a creative way they've done to do it without having it being a complete living unit. There's no kitchen. I'm troubled by 1,290 square feet where an ADU would have got you somewhere around 800. But the lot is narrow, which triggers the variances. And that's all I have to say left.
I agree with Michael, and my only other concern is the parking, and I think we should restrict the parking to the area proposed. But I share his concerns about the potential for the building down the road, but I'm willing to support this application.
Yeah, I agree. I think that with the odd conditions that the lot has, it is significantly over with the FAR, but the fact that it's okay with the impervious coverage, I think I can support it. And, whatever we want to say regarding, future changes, that it's the plans as submitted and the parking as it is. Otherwise, it has to come forward before for approval, zoning approval. Again.
Michael, did you make a motion, or were you
Nope.
just making comment?
No, I
so
didn't. I just made observations.
Okay, that's fine. Does someone want to make a motion?
Well, I'm willing to make a motion to approve this, but I'd like I think we have some of the conditions clarified at this point, but I'd like some help with
Okay, Val.
what those should be. Having to do with parking, that there wouldn't be an increase in the parking without coming back to us what else do we want to add?
No change in the
Okay, how
landscaping?
about how about simply saying that they'll maintain a landscape buffer?
Sounds
That's a
good.
good, I think it's a good idea, yeah.
And then that way, if the other one has to be removed, it's removed, but the point is that they will maintain a landscape buffer.
So since apparently it's possible to do that, there will be the ability, there would be the ability
Okay,
to do it as best as we
so
can.
they'll maintain.
Bernice, did you say anything else that?
No, I think that sounds consistent with what I was
And
trying to
then
say.
we have the two conditions from our zoning review memo. One is that the applicant will have to provide a valid easement agreement, which would give them access now to Henderson Road prior to the issuance of a building or a zoning permit.
Yes.
And then we also have,
The consolidation of lots.
correct. I'm getting some message here. I don't know. I don't know who this is from, so I don't know. Okay. Yes. I think through the hearing, we haven't really talked about RSIS at all, which are the residential site improvement standards. But I don't know, Taylor, I think you had a question about that, so.
Yeah, I do have a question about the RSIS, but I am not an engineer and I don't, I wish Mr. Purcell was here to comment on that, but to my knowledge, I believe that if there is any additional parking or additional driveway entrances made to Henderson Avenue, it would have to be improved to today's standards.
You mean
Meaning
Henderson Avenue would have to be improved?
Henderson Avenue would have to be improved. Yes, that is correct.
Okay, but that would only be adding additional parking to the road.
Yes.
Well, actually though, I mean, if the litigation concludes that they have no ownership, then they couldn't do that anyway. They couldn't make that change. Only the owner of the road could do that.
Right.
Okay. Ms. Mueller, you want to comment on that or?
I'd be happy to comment on it, but I'm not quite sure what the question was. And if the road was widened, there could be potential for parking along a quote road. But
no, but I mean adding a part like the concern of adding parking or adding a driveway to that road would require that road to be improved.
actually, any additional parking on the property would require a variance, and it would come back to this board. We're only allowed one driveway cut. Any additional other driveway cut or access would require variance. And any widening of the existing one would require an additional variance because we're seeking a variance for the width. So, I know the board's concerned about more parking. Any additional parking would have to come to this board. I hope that answers the question.
Did we add the consolidation of the two lots, Karen?
We did.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I second Eve's motion.
And then I think though we want to add the ADU language.
Oh, right. Yeah. I will have that in the findings. Not an ADU.
What would we say about that?
Well, Stephen, my thought would be that it would be in the board's findings. It's not, I'm not sure it's a condition, but in the board's findings, it would be that this does not meet the criteria for an ADU. It has not been submitted for approval as an ADU. It's not being approved as an ADU. It is an addition to the house. So
That's fine with me, but it doesn't seem to change anything. It's not an ADU. It's not being submitted as an ADU. So
yes, but I think the point's well taken. Just because if for some reason these owners, for any reason, had to sell and there's a new owner might say, "Oh, you know what? It's really the same thing." So I have plans. I intend to consider this as an ADU. And if it is an ADU, it does give people other, should we say, options. So,
okay, then I agree with it. I agree with you.
okay, all right. So I think we've got everything. I think we have everything now. Do you want me to go through it again? We have no expansion of the parking area without zoning board approval. The applicants will maintain a landscape buffer along their Henderson Avenue facade. They will have to provide a valid easement for access to Henderson prior to getting a building or a zoning permit. They will consolidate their two lots, and we will include language in the findings regarding the fact that this is not an accessory dwelling unit under our ordinance definitions. Do we have a second? Did you second it,
I
Stephen?
think I seconded it.
Okay,
Yeah, Mr. Shriver second that.
okay.
Should I call the roll or not yet?
Aaron, do you have anything else to add? Okay, Claudia, please call the roll.
Ms. Chen,
Yes.
Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Shriver, Mr. Shriver,
Yes. Oh, yes. You get it?
Mr. Stein,
Yes.
Ms. Donna,
Yes.
Chairman Cohen,
Yes.
the application is approved.
Okay. Ms. Gu, thank you very much, as well as the witnesses and the neighbors who commented. Thank you.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you, board members. Thank you, neighbors. And thank you, staff from the Princeton zoning office.
Okay,
5
so,
minutes. 5 minutes.
okay, it is 9:53. We will reconvene. How about 7 minutes? We'll reconvene at 10 o'clock.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ryan, when you get a chance, can you let me know who are your professionals so I can move them to panelists from attendees?
Okay, as soon as I think we're all back now. Claudia, are we recording again?
Yes, we are.
Okay, we are back in session. Our next case is case number Z26-734, 222 Moore Street, block 7110, lot 22 in the R8T zone. Karen, do we have all the paperwork in order?
Yeah, the noticing is in order. The board has jurisdiction tonight.
Taylor, can you summarize your memo for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So tonight you'll be hearing testimony about 222 Moore Street. That's block 7110, lot 22 in the R8T zone. Excuse me. Connie Chen and Mark McConnell are the owners and applicants. The applicants are seeking a D4 variance and C1 and 2 variances to construct a two-car garage attached to the existing dwelling with a covered patio and a walkway. The subject property is on a corner lot with frontage on Moore Street to the east and Henry Avenue to the south. To the west of the subject property, there's a 10-foot alley, and to the north is lot 22. In 2002, previous property owners of 222 Moore Street received variance approval for a D4 FAR variance, where the permitted floor area was 34.41%, and the variance allowed for an increase of 549 square feet for a floor area ratio of 42%. The subject property is not located within a locally designated historic district. The subject property is in the R8T zone and is subject to the use and bulk requirements in accordance with sections T10B 246 through 255 and 255.1 of the former Princeton Township Land Use Ordinance. The subject lot is not compliant with the following bulk requirements. The lot area, where the lot area requirement is 8,500, the existing is 7,500. The floor area ratio, which is 33.52% required, the existing the proposed is 47.63%. The applicants are also seeking variances from the neighborhood character for the front-facing garages to be set back from the front facade 16 feet, where the proposed is 13.7 feet. And additionally, with the driveway width in the neighborhood character, the max is 14 feet and the proposed is 22 feet at the curb line. And the max at the property line is 10 feet, where the proposed is 22 feet. You will see that the application has been slightly amended, which will in turn add a fourth variance to that list of the neighborhood character for garages on narrow lots. If the board has any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to answer them.
Members, any questions? Okay, who's going to be representing this application? Mr. Kennedy,
Evening, Mr.
good to see you.
Chairman. Good to see you as well.
Please
Before we
begin.
start, thank you. Before we start formally, there's a couple people, Claudia, in the audience. Maybe if they can push their raise hand button, but our planner, Nicholas Graviano, our architect, John DeCruz, and our applicants are under the name Mark McConnell. So as they come over, Ryan Kennedy from the law firm of Stevens and Lee, here for the applicants, Connie and Mark. They're on together this evening on one Zoom to economize a little bit. As Ms. Gribben said, we're here on an undersized lot, a narrow lot, and a corner lot that has some challenges. Additionally, a challenge of having a partially used alley behind it. And the problem that Connie and Mark have asked their architect and team to solve essentially is to get them to have a covered parking place for their cars and to store things. The current configuration, as you'll see, comes off a very narrow alley. It is very challenging to get in and out. They did explore with their architect over series of years, ways to try to find a place for a garage that made sense. Ultimately, the thing that makes sense is the pattern that's on Henry Avenue. This is on the corner of Moore Street and Henry Avenue. Most of the corner properties have side-facing garages, and on narrow lots, there are challenges with that. We've set this back as far as we can because corners in the former township have two fronts. So we have to still, on that second front, set back the side front-facing garage 16 feet. We get close to that, almost 14 feet, but there's really, as you can see, not much more room to go beyond that. You'll also see, which is also very common for the neighborhood, a wider driveway than the 14 or 10 foot that are permitted. This is, again, another unique feature of this neighborhood where there are very generous, not just front yard setbacks on Moore Street, but this extra right-of-way area along Henry. So the lot line is well recessed into this kind of yard area, and to constrain it like in this kind of hourglass shape would make it really challenging to get cars in and out of a garage. And you can see that pattern up and down Henry Avenue, and we'll show that as well. And finally, we do have a planner here tonight. We do have a floor area variance for the addition of the garage. The number is perhaps higher than it seems or than you'd expect because there is a small storage area that if we eliminated, the number would change. But essentially, it's using several hundred square feet to kind of make better use of that roof space. Garages, if it were detached, could be up to 15 feet. We respect that. We still have that, but by having a angled roof line, two things you'll see. One is that they could put some solar panels on part of it, but it allows it for a bit of a storage space. And by using it as storage space, we are above the 12 feet. It's a problem that I don't think this application was meant to be solved by this provision. But anything over 12 feet high is counted double for floor area. Normally, that's kind of an tear down provision for new homes. It's, large foyers, great rooms. Here, the storage space or the extra headroom by not closing in the normally sized ceiling counts as that. So we've got almost 250 square feet of this is that type of space. And I think you'll hear and hope you agree that use of it as storage on a small lot makes a lot of sense. Finally, as Ms. Gribben alluded to, we have revised our presentation slightly after speaking again with one of the applicant's neighbors. There's the folks kind of behind them on the alley off of Henry Avenue had been, I'll describe, supporters, but when they went back again to review the plans, they had a comment about how close the garage was to the alley, and essentially we've decided to accommodate their concern, make sure there's enough room to get back and forth and not alter that area really back there by moving it back about 5 feet away from the alley. To design the garage of the same size, we are now pushing into the side yard setback 3 feet. We hope you agree that that's a compromise that makes sense to revise the design that way, and we'll show you the changes there as well. We've got, I'll say, 3.5 witnesses. The applicants will kind of speak together, then our architect and our planner. So, Ms. Casey, if it makes sense for us to swear everyone in at once, happy to do that now.
Sure. So we have the applicants, Ms. Chen, Mr. McConnell, Mr. De Cruz, and Mr. Graviano. Do you all swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes, we do.
I do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Connie and Mark, I'm going to start with you guys and to members of the board. But again, thank you for your time tonight. Not to oversimplify what we're doing, but we'll do our best to get through it for everyone. Connie, and before I introduce Connie more or ask them to introduce themselves more formally, we have one set of exhibits that we had sent over in advance. There was an original and a revised. We would just be showing the revised one. It is 16 slides. And we'd like to mark that as our one exhibit here this evening.
Okay, so exhibit A1.
Right. So Connie and Mark, thank you so much. If you could just briefly introduce yourselves to the board, your connection here to Princeton, and the problem that you have are trying to solve with this project at your home on Moore Street.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. My name is Mark McConnell. So I teach at Princeton University. I'm a senior lecturer in the math department. I love this slide in part because I can walk to my work every day, but I'm getting, I hope I can walk to work 10 or 20 years from now, but we'll see. Connie?
Hi, my name is Connie. I retired already, and the reason we are trying to get a garage is really we are both are getting older, and then so the digging the car out of snow become a huge chore for us. Mark once already worked on the ice and broke his arm once, and I got cancer twice, and I have one knee replacement, so it's becoming increasingly difficult for us to walk through the backyard, dig the car out of snow. So we are really applying to get a garage so that we have we can walk to the garage and drive our car. Yeah, that's basically what we are asking for.
Thank you, guys. If it's all right, I'll share my screen and we'll go through our exhibits. I think that's materialized here. So Connie and Mark, slide 2 is the zoning map of the area. Is that big red arrow show where your property is on the corner of Moore and Henry Avenue?
That's correct, yes.
All right. Next, we've got some aerial photos. This is slide 3. The blue arrow, I don't know why I've switched from red to blue, but blue shows your house there on the corner?
Yep.
All right. And now moving to slide 4, again, zooming in a little bit, I'm going to ask you just to talk a little bit about the current configuration. So here on the right side, that's Moore Street, then left to right, Henry Avenue. And then you can see how you currently get to your parking area now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the problem that's had for you and the challenges in getting it out that that you have?
Yeah, so our back door is here. If my arrow you can see. And
You can't, but if you
yeah,
describe it, I'll try to follow. They might be able to
yeah,
see my.
so my
Whoops.
back, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, the back door is no, it's not there. It's it's on the outer corner of the addition of the house, and then we have to go walk through the backyard, go to the red car is where we park. We park one or two cars, one behind the other. And so right now is we have the maneuver come out of the alleyway. So what we try to do is to get a garage where we're parking right now, but coming from the front directly.
Now, the alleyway is paved for a while and then gets to a line and there's no then the pavement stops. So generally,
the neighbor's car, you see the space, yeah, the neighbor usually park there. So
but the neighbors further down, they still have access but don't use it on a regular basis.
Do not use on regular basis. They still use it a couple times a year. Yeah.
Now, so here on slide 5, we've got a couple of photos. I guess the top right that shows where the photos are kind of pointing from the Orient folks, but you can, I suppose, see in the bottom center that photo that looks down the alley from across the street. So the alley, I guess, is a little bit wider than it's perhaps shows on the maps, and then down where that fence line is, that's where it narrows up to where the 10 feet that it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's the really alley. The other part is part of our property.
Now, if you are parking there and you get the 2 cars that Princeton needs you to have in the township that you're supposed to show off site, how do you get out right now? Do you have to do you back out?
Sometimes back out. Yeah, we have to back out sometimes. Yeah.
And I guess on the top left, sometimes we do kind of back into that little narrow spot where the fence chokes the alley down and then try to K-turn out.
Yeah, sometimes we do that too, depending on,
Oh. I imagine, did things get crowded back there with your neighbors' use? I think in the space on the bottom, you can see where they park it kind of, not say noses out, that's not the nose end of the car, but kind of into the alley a little bit.
Yeah,
they are.
All right, so I guess just to summarize, your goal here was to get your cars covered, to be able to get to them, but also to remove the conflicts and kind of simplify how you get back there and make it easier for you and your guests to get cars, frankly.
In and out, yeah. It's not going to compete with the neighbor for the space.
Yeah.
And I'll bring that up again in a second here. But here, slide 6, this is kind of the neighborhood view, but gosh, there's many of the homes around you, perhaps with the exception of the one directly behind you, have the side-facing garage that you're kind of proposing in a fairly wide driveway. Is that correct? So
yeah, that's all our neighbors. Yeah.
One of those pictures is just across the street from us.
Yeah, that's in the other corner. We are in one corner. They are in the next corner. The 2 double door garage. Yeah.
And before we get to the next slide and move to our architect, I want to say I know you've talked to many of your neighbors, and one in particular that you had talked to. I'll show your 220 Bohr. There's 153. The folks that the only ones who really regularly use.
Yeah, they are very supportive, but they also do not want to have to change their configuration. They already had a certain configuration there. So then that's what we decided that we're going to build the garage more into our property. So just that, so they can come out in and a bit easier because they have teenagers. They says they want a bit wider space to drive in and out. They don't want to be kids have to be super duper careful.
So basically, in the last couple of days, while they had been supportive, they kind of focused a little bit more on the design, and their comment was maybe you can move the garage back closer to your house and make sure there's still plenty of room for their car movements. And your answer to them was, sure, let's do that.
Yeah. So once the final plans have moved the garage closer, and we have emails from them saying, "Oh, we're perfectly fine with that."
Right. Well, thank you for. Not all of my clients are so helpful to talk to the neighbors like that. I've I'll say appreciated. And I'll say I think that was the change that Ms. Gribben had alluded to at the beginning. So before we go to our architect to talk about both the differences in members of the board, what you saw initially, the slight differences, and the proposed revised plan, I'll ask if Mr. Chairman, if anyone has questions for the applicant, certainly happy to make them available.
Board members, any questions so far? Nope, please continue, Mr. Kennedy.
Okay. Connie, Mark, thank you so much. Don't go too far. We might find something else for you. But John, if you could unmute yourself and introduce yourself as our architect to the board briefly, particularly considering the hour, give the board the benefit of your license and credential information.
Sure. Good evening. So yeah, my name is John DeCruz. I'm an architect. I have a B Arch and an M Arch, and I've been a registered architect in New Jersey for over 20 years, and I'm also a resident of Princeton.
We will accept you as an expert, Mr. DeCruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right. So, Mr. Cruz, this slide 7 is kind of a colorized version of the basic idea of the original submission that we talked about, but not to get into too much of the details, but just basically kind of talk through what, Connie and Mark asked you to do, the challenges we had on the site, and, what we're looking at here.
Sure. And can you guys see my cursor or no?
No, but if you describe it, I might be able to follow with mine.
Sure. So, as was said before, we're on a corner lot, which has 2 front yards and 2 side yards. Obviously, the gray area in the middle is the existing house. The area towards the rear of the property is where the current parking area is. And in essence, we're converting the existing parking area into a garage. In this original scheme, we push the garage towards the rear of the property, which is really a side yard. And between the 2-car garage and the existing house, we added in a patio, and along the front edge of that patio, there's a covered walkway that directly connects the house to the garage undercover. In terms of locating at least the Henry side of the garage, we in essence aligned the face of the garage to the face of the recessed portion of the existing house.
John, I'm going to ask you just because we'll talk about these variances a bit later. While it's common on the street, what's maybe not common around Princeton is this kind of unique extra large, frontage along Henry. So this, where my cursor is, that I'm tracing, that's the property line. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep, that is
and
the property line.
Then here, as you heard both in this application and the one before, the 2 requirements that Princeton has for driveways, which are probably more relevant in other parts of town, are a width at the curb cut and a width at the property line. So here, the property line is recessed oddly interiorly with this extra space and quite close, frankly, to the garage. So the idea with what you've designed, John, is to essentially extend out the width that's kind of necessary to get into a garage at 22 feet.
Correct. It's basically a 2-car garage with a double wide driveway so that you can pull each car directly into the garage and exit the garage without having to stack parking. I'd just like to say one other thing about the existing in this scheme. As you can see, the existing curb cut that leads into the alleyway is actually pushed on to Connie and Mark's property. And our original scheme was to sort of redo the curb cut to the alleyway and get it back in alignment with the actual alleyway, and then having our driveway adjacent to it.
So maybe we'll show the kind of revised plan where we're not really gonna propose changing the alley really at all. But ultimately, as it turns out, the way the deeds show where the alley to be, it had over the years shifted onto Connie and Mark's property as it seems, despite what the maps show. But this is a fairly simple, and we'll go into some detail on the next slide. But generally, John, is this correct that this kind of green box shows the change from the original submission to what was worked out with the neighbors to push the garage away from the alley by about 5 feet.
Correct. So the goal was to move the garage closer to the existing house and to preserve the existing curb cut of the alleyway and the access to the parking area for the neighbor. And also we slightly changed the proportion of the garage to maintain not only the 2 cars, but a storage area.
And so here's the kind of revised sketch of what we're with the, it's hard to tell, honestly, 5 feet on a site sketch is hard to spot. But ultimately, this is the revised garage shape and location. And here essentially showing, keeping the front of the alleyway, essentially where it's been and not changing it. And then showing some additional planting or kind of buffering along that existing line. And are there any other, we'll probably highlight it in a bit, but in doing so, to keep the garage similarly functional, you did, one of the compromises was to the need to push it into the side yard setback slightly. Is that correct?
Correct. So the garage itself got more narrow, which caused us, basically then there was no room. The original storage area was along the side of the garage. Once the garage got more narrow, we moved the storage area to the rear of the garage, which caused it to push further into that side yard setback.
Got it. So maybe this slide might highlight that a little bit. So this red area, that's the new, at least new as of today, encroachment that's proposed into the 8-foot side yard setback shown in red.
Correct.
Now, interestingly, we did talk this through. We believe it does require a variance, but we did want to show under the neighborhood character there are a couple of different provisions that we do think show that what we've done here, while yes, it does need a variance, is what the neighborhood character was looking. So on the top right, it's the garage on corner lots understanding from the neighborhood character ordinance and the form-based zoning that shows, yes, that the idea is to kind of configure them like we've done here, that we'll call side facing, or that second front facing, addressing the smaller of the secondary of the street as we've done that. And second, a provision that actually does allow for a garage of this height to encroach into a side yard setback on narrow lots like this. However, for whatever reason, that does not apply specifically to corner lots, as it turns out. So there's a lot of examples of this activity, I guess, being encouraged in the code, but this particular configuration of this particular lot doesn't meet all the requirements. John, maybe we would also add, if we did not connect the garage, would a side yard setback be needed?
Correct. So if this was an auxiliary structure, it would allow for a 5-foot side yard setback for this size and height of garage.
And ultimately, that's what we're proposing here, a 5-yard setback.
Correct. 5 yards, a 5-foot side yard setback.
And we'll hear a bit, but maybe just want to talk a little bit from a maybe not design, I don't mean visually perspective, but from the functionality perspective. Just want to talk through. I know that was the request from the applicants, the need to get to their cars and essentially stay covered. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefit of the covered connection.
Sure. So it's basically an open covered area that goes over the patio. So it's an open patio, and along the Henry Street, it's it's open, basically just an open cover, and that allows even though it becomes an attached garage, it is it's a very open and porous connection.
And I guess moving on to slide 11, we're up to now, we did try to show, because, members of the board, you did see plans. They are, from this perspective, I think very subtly different, but we tried to show the differences so you could, see them side by side. So the top is what was originally submitted. The bottom is the revised plan. And I guess in the bottom right, we overlaid the original on the revised, so you could kind of see the different configuration. But ultimately, the blue on the left is new, and then that center portion is the covered connector that you mentioned.
Correct.
Here's that view again, and kind of showing what's there now, which is essentially there's a fence and a shed in that area. So generally, this the new location kind of matches where that fence line, not on the Henry Street side, but on the alleyway side, lined up more or less.
More or less. It may actually be inboard ever slightly more. But again, the critical portion to this was to maintain the existing curb cut and access to the parking for the neighbor at the rear.
There's a couple other views. So bottom right, that's the existing kind of, I'll say, cross alley view. That's if you were in the neighbors who park in the alley and looking across at Connie and Mark's house, what you would see now.
Correct.
And the bottom left is kind of this left arrow angle showing, what it looks like to, their parking area kind of looks like now.
Right. And you can see that the sort of the form of the garage is meant to mimic the existing house. It's a single sloped roof. The other change that we did make on the left, which was the original proposal, the high side of the garage faced Henry, and in discussions, and it got a little longer, we flipped the roof slope so that the high side is on the side yard with the low side on Henry Street, which also would allow, hopefully, for, the roof would now face south for possible future solar panels on that roof.
So maybe not quite last, but just briefly, if you take the board just through the numbers. I know the percentages don't really tell the story here. Maybe you could talk through particularly, what we're at, what the garage is adding, the size of the covered car, the walkway, and then the part which I think is shown in the top left, that it ends up being doubled because you get a headroom that's above 12 feet.
Correct. So I'll just go through all the numbers quickly. So the first floor, the original existing first floor is 1,550. Out of that, we're removing that little area in the back, which is a storage room, which leaves us with 1,507 square feet. On the second floor, it is 1,600 square feet. From a covered area or covered walkway point of view, there's 42 square feet in the front that is existing. There's a little covered area in the back that's 28 square feet, and then we're proposing a new covered area of 120 square feet. You add all of those together, we're at 190 square feet, which is under the 200 square foot credit for covered areas. There is no attic space. We have shallow roofs. Then from a garage point of view, the proposed footprint of the garage is 670 square feet. Because it is in the rear yard, or what is considered the rear yard in this configuration, we get a 300 square foot credit for garage in the rear yard. The garage is less than 15 feet tall. Because we are trying to maximize storage on the inside, it's a single sloped roof. We do have 2 storage lofts on the interior. The area at the very back is where the storage loft is, which basically makes the ceiling height less than 12 feet. But the shaded area in the center is still, it's an area in the center of the garage that is still above the 12-foot maximum ceiling height. So once it's over 12 feet, it counts as double. And we add that here to the bottom. So if you take the garage at 670 minus the 300 square foot credit, and then we add the 220 square feet of the portion of the garage that is above the 12 feet, we end up with an FAR for the garage that's 590 square feet. You take the first floor, second floor, and the garage FAR, you add it all together, and that gives us, let me see if I can see this, 49.3 percentage of proposed FAR, which is 547 square feet of basically new FAR.
And
Or
John,
sorry,
just so I have it
yeah,
right,
new FAR above the existing.
and just so I have it right, 220 square feet of that, or just under 3%, is that
Is that
odd
little
area where you have to kind of double it, and I guess could be eliminated, but wouldn't be noticed by the outside world, or doesn't provide any other advantage other than headroom and storage. Is that correct?
Correct. And that little area is actually shown on the elevation. It is called out.
Yep. Just while we're looking at here, if we can see my cursor, this distance from the existing house line and where the new garage will line up and the front, this is the distance where the code would ask the garage to be set back 16 feet. We are just under 14 feet there and need a variance. You can see the back part of the garage extends 3 feet into the 8-foot setback. If they were not connected, it could be at that location without a variance, but because it's connected, we do require that variance. And the other two variants we talked about before are the driveway widths that are, well, common for the neighborhood, are pretty unique here because it would create a kind of an odd hourglass situation where you have to actually come in at the lot line, which was actually quite close to the garage. I believe, just before I promise that we're done with you, I just want to check one thing. But Mr. Chairman, I think that's it for our architect. I'm happy to have him answer any questions.
Board members, any questions of the architect? No, please continue.
All right, thank you so much. Our last, I promise, witness is our planner. We do have a D variance here. So if you could, Nicholas, briefly, again, briefly underlined based on the time, give the board the benefit of your credentials and licensing, so I can have you accepted as an expert.
Certainly. I have a bachelor's degree from Rutgers University, a master's degree in city and regional planning from Rutgers University. I have a law degree from the Temple University School of Law, where I received a distinguished class performance in state and local government law. I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. My license is valid. I also hold an AIC.
We will accept you as an expert in many fields. That's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So
Thank
Nicholas,
you, Chairman.
If you could, I promise this is our last slide. The one more, Mark 16 just says thank you. So if there's anything you'd like me to show while you're speaking, I'm happy to go back, Nick. But if you could just, briefly explain what you were charged with here. I think we heard the technical side of which variances are needed, but perhaps just again briefly take the board through the justifications for them.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. This is an application for a D4 FAR variance as well as associated C variances. This is a specific piece of property known as Block 7110, Lot 22. That's an undersized lot on the corner of Moore Street and Henry Avenue. The applicant seeks to add a 2-car garage as well as relocate an existing driveway to the existing single-family dwelling. The zone officer as well as the architect did go through the variances. I'll go through them quickly. The applicant is requesting relief for the FAR variance. 33.52 is required, whereas 49.3% is proposed. 42% is existing on the site. We mentioned the garage setback variance, 16 feet is required. We're at 13.7 feet to the garage. Additionally, the variance for the driveway width at the curb, a maximum is 14 feet, is proposed as 22 feet. Another driveway variance is for the driveway width at the property line. Max is 10 feet, proposed as 22 feet. You've heard the rationale for the driveway design. Lastly, the newly created variance due to the discussions with the neighbor is the side yard setback for the garage. 8 feet is required and 5 feet is proposed. The highest order variance that the applicant is requesting this evening is obviously the D4 FAR variance. As all the time away from your family and friends has taught you, is that the FAR variance could be granted in particular cases and for special reasons. That's the positive criteria of the FAR variance. Now, New Jersey courts have held that the FAR variance is more akin to the D3 variance than a D1 variance. So in this case, the board's focus is on whether or not the site can still accommodate the problems associated with the permitted use, although with a larger floor area than what's permitted by ordinance. This applicant need not show that the site is particularly suited for the more intensive development. However, the board does not have the power to grant the D4 variance unless the negative criteria has been satisfied. And that's our job to show you that the relief can be granted with a showing that the variance will not create a substantial detriment to the public good and will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan. Moving on, looking at the positive criteria, this certainly advances purposes of zoning of the municipal land use law, specifically Purpose A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use of lands in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. And that's done not only for the applicants themselves, but for the neighboring community. You heard the applicant's rationale for wanting the enclosed parking space. The applicant had an injury cleaning off snow, broke a bone, so certainly creates a safer parking environment for the residents. And it creates a safer environment for the neighborhood, reducing the turning movements that are conducted in the alley in the rear of the property. This also serves the general welfare by allowing the applicants to age in place by staying in their homes safely, independently, in an environment which contains their social ties and familiar environment which support their quality of life. It also advances Purpose G to provide sufficient space and appropriate location for a variety of residential uses to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. This proposed location is certainly an appropriate location for the proposed garage, helps meet the off-street parking needs of the applicant. Lastly, John's impeccably designed building and site certainly promotes a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. It's certainly good civic design and arrangement to eliminate one more driveway access off of that alley. This site certainly can accommodate the increased FAR. The proposal is not increasing any habitable living space. It's a one-story addition in the rear of the property. And I would like to note a crucial element of this application. The applicant is still under the required impervious coverage limit, demonstrating that the site can accommodate the proposed addition without any substantial detriment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance. Looking at the C variances, they can be granted under both the C1 and C2 criteria. With respect to the C1 criteria, this is an exceptional situation affecting this specific piece of property, the presence of the corner lot, as well as the configuration of the property and the lot width does create practical difficulties for the applicant's insertion of a more rational garage space and driveway space to the property. Strict application of the municipal zoning ordinance would create an undue hardship upon the applicant. However, the variances can also be granted under the C2 criteria in that it relates to a specific piece of property. Here we have an undersized corner parcel in the RAT district. Certainly the granting of the C2 variances can be done with the same purposes of zoning that I analyzed with the D4 FAR variance analysis. So with the granting of the C2 variances, purposes of A, G, and I of the municipal land use law are advanced, without a substantial detriment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance. In terms of the zone plan, which is the master plan, the 2023 master plan on page 17 outline a vision. And the vision is that Princeton will be a vibrant, growing, and welcoming community with a diverse mix of land uses that accommodate a broad variety of needs. The broad variety of needs is for applicants that are aging, would like to age in place, and would like to provide a parking situation that's more safe and conducive to their quality of life. So in summary, the D4 FAR variance can be accommodated. The site can accommodate the increased FAR. It is not for living space. Both the granting of the C variances as well as the D4 variance advanced purposes of zoning A, G, and I, the municipal land use law, and the granting of the variance will not cause a substantial impairment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance.
Nick, thank you.
Okay.
There's a lot to get through. Much appreciated. Mr. Chairman, certainly happy to have our planner available for any questions.
Board members, any questions of the planner? Okay, but 1 second, Mr. Kennedy. Karen?
Yes.
It is 10:44. We have one more application this evening, which I think we will probably not get to, so we might want to make an announcement that 22 Green Street, case Z26-726 will be continued to the next hearing.
Alrighty then, for the benefit of those who are listening tonight, 22 Green Street is being carried to the July 22nd zoning board meeting. The applicant will not be obligated to make any further noticing. The agenda for that meeting, when it comes out, will have all the contact information. So if you want to attend, you'll be able to zoom in and listen and make comment.
Taylor, is that okay?
Yeah. Yep. That should be fine.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Kennedy, please continue.
Thank you. So Mr. Chair, is saying that's it for our formal testimony. Happy to have our planner answer any questions. If not, I'm happy to summarize and move to the next steps.
Board members, any questions of the planner? Okay, Mr. Kennedy, go for it. Summarize.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure I could show this last slide. Much appreciated for everyone's time here this evening. Your professionals for assisting with this, both recently in accommodating the neighbor's request, as well as, honestly, we've been working on this for about a year and a half, if not longer, both with Derek when he was here and with Taylor. Lots like this are challenging. The goals of this client or any homeowner to be able to get in and out of their property easily, remove the challenges of the alley, which, by the way, is as you saw, really only supposed to be 10 feet. So when it goes, most of the other property owners in the neighborhood on the other paper alleys, if they still exist, or the rest of this block, don't really use them as much as was being used here. There are certainly challenges with trying to squeeze cars into a 10-foot alley. There's certainly going to be some benefits from removing this home's cars from it, the addition, the challenges of the narrow lot, the lovely but exceptionally large front yard setback, which already took a undersized lot and squeezed everything towards the back portion of it already. I think that the team did a nice job of trying to get a small amount of utility here for the homeowner, solve quite a few problems, and not only without any detriment, but in a pattern that actually has been mimicked up and down Henry Avenue multiple times with similarly configured driveways and say semi-recessed attached and detached garages. So again, thank you all for your time here this evening, and again, happy to answer any other questions if they come up.
Okay. At this point, we're going to go into the public portion of the hearing. If there's anyone who wants to comment on behalf of this application, indicate that by pushing the raise your hands button at the bottom of the screen, and we'll recognize you. Claudia, do we have anyone who's indicated they want to speak on behalf of this application?
There are no raised hands, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We'll give it a second here. So, any late stragglers here? Okay, hearing no one wanting to speak, we'll close the public portion of the hearing. Mr. Kennedy, you can summarize before we go into executive session.
Again, I'll just take that opportunity to hopefully give you a few more minutes of your evening back and just to thank you, and rather than repeat myself again, much appreciated, particularly sticking it out for a long evening like this.
Okay, we are going to go into executive session. Board members, any questions, comments, or motions? Michael, did you want to say something?
No, I didn't have anything.
Oh, sorry, I thought I saw you raise your hand. Okay. Any board members care to say something? Someone like to make a motion?
Just one clarification, Mr. Kennedy. Does your client then need to expand the curb, the driveway width at the curb? Did they need an increased curb cut? Because they would need approval then from the mayor and council for that.
So as far as the alley is concerned, we understand that the curb cut will require a permit regardless of the variance granted from council. So we will be seeking that. This version of the application will, and Mr. DeCruz, correct me if I'm wrong here, but while initially we were looking to slightly reconfigure the alley entrance, we are no longer looking to do that now that we've pushed the garage back. So assuming I have that right, I believe we'll just need the standard request for a street opening, I believe, from the town.
For the driveway to the garage.
Correct.
Okay. I ask because then I don't know if the board wants to just make that a condition of approval, which they've done in the past, that you have to get your driveway opening permit.
Yeah.
Condition or not, we know we have to get that, and we won't be constructing without it. So
I apologize. We had no one who raised their hand, right, for public comment?
Right. No
Okay,
one raised
thank
their
you.
hand.
Correct. Nobody.
Thank you.
All right. Does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the conditions?
Yeah, I move approval of the D variance for the FAR and the, I guess, a C2 for the garage setback, the driveway width at property line, and side yard setback. And,
With the condition that we talked about, the
and-
driveway approval
and the
from council?
condition of the driveway approval as Karen expressed it.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, that's Stephen.
it was.
Okay, do we have any discussion on the motion? Okay, Claudia, can you call the roll?
Ms. Chen,
Yes.
Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Shriver,
Yes.
Mr. Stein,
Yes.
Ms. Donna,
Yes.
Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
It's approved. Thank you.
thank you all so much.
Okay,
I just wanted to note that the noticing was in order for 22 Green Street, so you do have jurisdiction, and in carrying the application, you are taking jurisdiction of it. That's how you're going to carry it to July 22nd. So just wanted to note that for the record.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for the evening. We'll adjourn the meeting and see you all next month.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.